Hi, I'm Janis from JBMTHINKS.com, and today I want to talk to you about something that we all deal with when sports parents, screw up. Now, I've been writing and blogging about youth sports for pretty much 5 years now, and if you have gotten the impression that I am doing this because I did a really good job of being a sports parent, then I have to tell you right now and be honest with you, that's just not true. I screwed up a lot. There were a lot of things I did wrong. There were times when my kids came home ranting about their coach, and I joined in the rants. There were times when they came home complaining about their teammates, and I added to that conversation. There were times when I said things that I wished I could have just sucked back into my mouth, like the time that my daughter was playing varsity volleyball, and she didn't have a particularly good game. She got pulled out, and as we were walking out to the car after the game, I said to her, "Aren't you afraid you're going to lose your starting spot?" Well, that was not a smart move, not a positive sports parenting thing to do, and it hurt our relationship for that moment. I wished I could have taken it back. As soon as I said it, I knew I shouldn't have said it. But we all screw up. We do things. There were times when I stayed up and I couldn't sleep at night because I was worried about my kids and whether it was their playing time or they're making the team or getting a starting spot or being good enough for college because that's what they wanted to do. It would keep me up at night. And there was times when I was really chicken, like the time that my son was a senior varsity basketball player. He'd worked hard his entire junior year, and he got to his senior year and he was a starter. But he struggled with the coach a little bit because the coach was very hard to read and he was very hard to please, and he kept giving my son vibes that he was going to get replaced. And so homecoming week came. This is the week that my son had looked forward to. It's the big night, the stands are packed and there's a lot of extra festivities, and then you get introduced as the starter and it's just this big deal. The lights are flashing. He had looked forward and worked for this for so long, and it was the night, and he didn't know because of the vibes that he'd been getting from a coach. He had no clue whether he'd be starting. And of course, my stomach was totally in knots, and I became a real chicken at that point, and I sat in the car. I could hear the introductions of the team through the vents in the gym, and I sat in the car and listened because I couldn't face it. He got introduced, and I said, "Yes!" And I went inside and watched the game. But honestly, that was not a smart sports parenting positive thing to do at all. But I screwed up a lot. And I did other things I wish I could have bitten my tongue. I mean, there's just so many things I did wrong. And now with my kids, we kind of laugh about it now. They're grown. But I did a lot of things wrong. But here's the deal. Why did my kids turn out okay despite me, despite my screw-ups? Well, first of all, I believe God. Second of all, my husband had a very good perspective as a coach, and so he was able to balance me out a bit. But thirdly, I think that the reason that they're okay is because I did something that we do to our kids. Okay, when your kids mess up in a game, how often does that happen? It happens a lot, doesn't it? And what do we tell our kids when they mess up? We tell them, learn from your mistakes, get over it, move on. Figure out what you can do better the next time and do it. Okay? We tell our kids that all the time when they mess up. We need to tell ourselves that, okay? As a parent, you need to give yourself grace. You give your kids grace when they mess up. Give yourself some grace. As long as you look at the situation and say, "Man, I screwed up. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that to the coach, or I shouldn't have yelled that to the referee, or I shouldn't have said that to my child." As long as you come to that point and say, "I screwed up, but what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time?" then your kids are probably going to be okay because you're still willing to learn. So I'm just here to tell you today that if you've screwed up as a sports parent, then give yourself some grace. Because you give your kids grace, give it to yourself too. So go out this week, be part of the positive sports parenting tribe, even if you screw up.